Good afternoon and welcome to Norcal APEX Accelerator's webinar. Today we're discussing teaming versus partnerships, helping you know the risks and rewards of both. My name is Amanda Anderson. I'm the program coordinator for Norcal APEX Accelerator, and I'm joined today by Mary Jo Juarez, one of our phenomenal procurement specialists at Norcal APEX. But before I pass it off to her for our main content today, I do want to let you know a little bit about Norcal APEX Accelerator services and how we can help you with government contracting. So, the APEX Accelerator program is a nationwide network of over 96 local centers that are here to provide businesses just like you with education and training so that you can compete in any level of government contracting. Whether you're looking to do business at the federal level, with the state, or even with local governments like cities and counties. And the best part is every resource and every assistance that you will get from any Apex Accelerator Center is available at absolutely no cost to you. We will never ask for any form of payment information because we're funded by grants from federal, state, and local governments to help you learn how to contract with them. They truly do want to do business with small businesses, local businesses, just like you, and we're funded to help you find your success. But what exactly does that help look like? What does Apex Accelerator Assistance really mean? Well, at Norcal Apex Accelerator, we're able to offer our assistance to the 15 Northern California counties that you see on your screen. And we offer our assistance through three main pillars of services. First, our one-on-one counseling, where if you are within our service area, you can sign up with our center to meet with one of our procurement specialists, just like Mary Jo, and they can sit down with you one-on-one over Zoom and help you figure out anything you need regarding to government contracting. Whether you're brand new to the contracting space and really looking to figure out if you actually have opportunities, or maybe you're more in the realm of getting your certifications and getting your applications and registrations done. Our counselors can even help you find opportunities that really fit your business and even help with compliance paperwork after you win your first bid. Another great benefit of signing up with your local Apex Accelerator is you get access to our custom bid matching software. Now, this is software that our center pays for, but we offer to our clients at absolutely no cost. Remember, at Norcal Apex Accelerator, all of our services are at no cost to you. But what this software allows us to do is it allows us to help you define criteria that would be a good solicitation for you to bid on. So maybe you can only perform services in a certain geographic location. That location could be a good criteria you're looking for in a solicitation. Or maybe you have a new and innovative product or service, and you're really looking to find a foothold. That product or service could be the criteria you're looking for. And the best part is once you're signed up for our counseling services, your procurement specialist can sit down with you and help you really dig in and figure out what a good solicitation looks like for you and really define the criteria that would help you. And they'll put that criteria into the system and it scrapes federal, state, and local procurement sites for opportunities that are relevant to you and your company, and it'll email those opportunities directly to you. Imagine getting possible contracts, relevant solicitations directly to your inbox. And some of the businesses that we work with get them almost daily, depending on your criteria. It's a fantastic service that we are delighted to offer to our clients. But another one, our third and final resource pillar, is one I love because it's available to whoever and whenever, and you're actually taking advantage of it right now. We put on a ton of webinars and in-person trainings throughout the year covering topics like today's teaming versus partnerships. to more complex topics like getting a GSA schedule. The best part is all of our workshops and webinars are offered at absolutely no cost, and you can attend them no matter where you're coming to us from. Another great opportunity you have is on our website. Our website hosts a ton of resources and links for you to explore at every level of contracting. If you're looking to do contracting with maybe your local cities, we have links to a lot. I want to say all, but it is not an exhaustive list. There are way too many cities and counties to find every procurement page, but we have over 50 Northern California cities and counties listed on our website, ready for you to go directly to their procurement page. And I check those personally every month to make sure that they are active and working just for you, as well as some of our fantastic wildfire vendor response resources, which is very much a big deal and coming up in California. I cannot recommend our website enough because all of these links and resources are curated to help businesses just like you really take a step forward into success with government contracting. And they're available no matter where you are in the country. So, if you are interested in getting connected for one-on-one assistance, please do connect with Norcal APEX Accelerator if you're within our service area. But if not, do remember we are 96 centers strong nationwide. So there's absolutely a local APEX Accelerator center who can help you find your success in government contracting, all at absolutely no cost. And so, with that, I do have just one more note as a small training disclosure. Since this event is recorded, the information provided herein is accurate to the best of the presenter's ability at the time of this presentation. Some or all of the provisions mentioned herein could or may be changed by the current administration with or without prior notice. And with that, I am delighted to pass this over to Mary Jo Juarez.
Thank you, Amanda. Good afternoon, everybody. I am really excited to be here. If you're a small business looking to expand your capabilities in the federal government, these items in the agenda, the joint ventures, the subcontracting, and the teaming can help you with that. This is really important to me because I've seen so many companies struggle with all of these. And when I was a contracting officer, I would be sitting across the table from you, usually because something went wrong. And I would be listening and I would be thinking, oh no, oh no, oh no, don't, please, please don't do that. But I couldn't say anything because I was with the government. Now I can talk to you about these issues that might occur and how you can help yourself to be more successful. And that being said, just kind of to put this in context, when I was a contracting officer, if I had 150 or 100 projects going on, the only ones I saw were the ones that were going bad. So it was really a very small percentage, but some really, really good lessons there. So which of these three, joint ventures, subcontracting, or teaming, is better? The answer is going to involve a multitude of issues. Is choosing confusing? Oh, yeah, definitely. It can be. And you may start in one direction and then eventually go another direction. And that's kind of why we're here, is to help you with that. So I'm hoping that this webinar can help alleviate some of the confusion that you may run into. And what we're going to do is Amanda is going to, so first we'll talk about joint ventures and subcontracting, then teaming, and then deciding what's best for your company. But Amanda is going to take questions from you at the end of each one of these so we can kind of keep them a little bit separate and address the questions as they arise. So could we have the next slide, please, Amanda? And the next one also. So a joint venture is very, very different from teaming or subcontracting because what you have is you have a business here and you have a business here, and they decide to get together and they form a separate business to bid. Usually it's to bid on a specific project, although depending how it's set up, they can bid on multiple projects. The new joint venture must be registered in SAM in order to bid on projects. So what that means is that when you've taken these two parts and made them one, you need to take that one and you need to register it with whatever state you're in. You need to go to IRS and get either an EIN or a TIN and register it with IRS, and then go into SAM for the registration. The joint venture should have an agreement that details who's responsible for what with each company and also the payment percentages. And usually what happens is there'll be one person from each of the two companies who goes to the joint venture and is the point of contact for communication and to work out any issues that might occur. Next slide, please. So the benefits are the joint venture can win projects by itself. Um, if it's done right, and most of them seem to be nowadays, for the most part, done a lot better than they were years ago. Everything is spelled out as far as obligations and responsibilities. So also that separate entity can pull benefits from both companies. For instance, it can use combined bonding if you're in construction from these other two that you pulled together to use. And depending upon how it's set up, you may be able to avoid the higher cost structure that the individual companies have because you have less overhead, less costs in the combined company. So your prices might be less, which could enable you to win. So that's another thing to keep in mind as you're setting this up. The risks, it involves managing another company, which can really be difficult for a small business. Um, it could be a drain on personal and financial resources. That's something you need to consider as you go into it. Um, each of the member companies that are forming this may have liability and obligations from the joint venture. So that's also another risk to consider. And one of the biggest things is that needs to be discussed in great detail going into this is that management issues or partnership disagreements may be difficult to mitigate, which could delay decisions that need to be quickly as you're in this arena. Okay. Amanda, do we have any questions so far on this?
We do. A couple just came in.
Okay.
Um, so we'll start with this one. Can you discuss affiliation considerations when a small business joins a joint venture with a large? Does it affect the size standard of the small business outside of the joint venture?
Um, that is going to honestly be a webinar in itself, the whole affiliation issue. I can tell you that one reason a large business may approach you as a small business, especially if you're an 8A under the SBA program, to become a joint venture is because then that large business can play in your swim lane. They can become they're looked at as the joint venture is looked at as a small business, and it gives them access to projects and benefits that they might not normally have. Okay, that being said, that can cause a whole nother host of issues because there's certain percentages that the SBA will want the small business to do. I was actually telling Amanda that I was in a meeting this morning where an attorney was telling us that 80% of the joint ventures are not compliant. So compliance is also a is also an issue. There is a lot that goes into this, and I do believe, Amanda, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we are going to have another class shortly.
Yes, absolutely. And Mary Jo's talking about our upcoming DOW contracting readiness workshop that we are presenting virtually on March 4th. Our procurement specialist, Frank Luna, is really diving in deep to mentor protege program with the DOW, as well as joint ventures and how those play a role in mentor protege. So it sounds like that might be a really good more fleshed out presentation to go into joint ventures, but it is very, and I see Sean in chat, isn't it similar to mentor protege? And so that one is going to discuss kind of the differences and how they're similar and how they get set up. And that'll be on March 4th.
And I will say that if you are looking at forming a joint venture, it's imperative that you understand the culture and the people in the company that you'll be forming it with. And then also, we are certainly available to look and review any agreements that you look at. But oftentimes, especially in this particular arena, our advice is going to include having you have an attorney look at it. Because, you're right. There's so many things that impact it depending upon what type of small business you are and depending upon who you're working with. So affiliation can become a problem. And again, that is a whole consideration on its own. But as the Norcal APEX Accelerator, we're definitely happy to talk to you individually in more detail about this. We're happy to look at your situation, to look at who you might be working with, to come up with some ideas for you to explore this a little bit more and get as much information and as much paperwork as you can together before going to an attorney, which will hopefully save you some costs.
Yeah. And just as a quick clarification about Apex services, we are not legal advice. So I know if you do get to that point with your procurement specialist, they would always advise you take all of that information they help you collect and help you really figure out and define to a legal specialist.
Okay.
And then we had one more question regarding the point of contact within a joint venture. If the individuals listed on the joint venture move on to a new opportunity, should that be updated through legal documents and on SAM? Is that something that you would have to update for that compliance that we mentioned?
Um, I I I would definitely suggest that. I don't know. I would have referred to an attorney on the legal documents, but on SAM, yes. Definitely, because as far as SAM goes, when you have a contracting officer or somebody researching whoever your points of contact on SAM are, who they're going to be referring to, and you don't want emails for potential business going into a dead email box of somebody who has already left.
Yeah. And that's something I've picked up. I am not a procurement specialist myself. I work administratively for the program, but I do host these webinars, and that's something I've kind of picked up is you always want to keep your registrations, whether it's sam.gov or Cal eProcure on the state side, as updated as possible, because that's your point of contact. That's how they know to reach out to you. So points of contact, always update.
I tell clients three things to look at when you go into SAM and as you're dealing, on a daily, monthly, whatever it is basis that you work in SAM. Your points of contact, make sure they're up to date. Look at the number of people that you show that you have in your company and your revenues. If your revenues are going up, you started and you were at 25,000 and now you're at 1 million, don't forget to go into SAM and update that also.
Fantastic. And that is all the questions we have for joint ventures. And again, I did drop the registration link for our March 4th webinar. If you're more interested in joint ventures and maybe a mentor protege agreement, that webinar is going to be absolutely fantastic for you, going more in depth and more into the details of both of those.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about subcontracting. Next slide, please. So subcontracting is when a prime contractor brings an outside company in to perform specific parts of a contract, and it's usually parts of a contract that they cannot perform, okay, which is to both your benefit and can be to your detriment. There may be multiple subcontractors on a project. A lot of times, especially on a construction project, when you're out there working, you're not there with the prime. You're there with a bunch of other subcontractors. And the FAR 19 it does have information about defining what a subcontractor is in more detail. If you are not looking at subcontracting, you may be leaving dollars on the table. Okay, that's an excellent opportunity to gain experience and bring more money, diversification, everything else into your company. Next slide, please. Okay, the benefits are you're going to help the prime contractor keep costs under control and lessen risk. Um, a lot of the projects, I'm seeing this almost more and more where the project itself requires the prime to use subcontractors from the local community. Also, on federal contracts, if it's a large prime, they have a subcontracting plan that they sign with the government where they are required to do a certain percentage with each social economic category, whether you're veteran owned, whether you're woman owned, whether you're small business, whatever you may be. The way that works is anytime that an agency is looking at doing over $10,000 worth of a project, which is nothing nowadays, they have to send their acquisition strategy to the Small Business Administration. And the Small Business Administration is the only agency that has authority to stop that project. And it's done because they may not agree with the subcontracting agreement, which with the SBA, which details how many small businesses they're going to make a good faith effort to bring into the project. Um, and by a good faith effort, they have to be out there at events. They need to be talking to you, and all this is documented by the large business and submitted 2 times a year in reports. And I have been in many meetings where a large prime will stand up and say, hey, we didn't get this big project in Guam because they disqualified us on our source selection criteria because we did not make an effort to work with small businesses. So, as a small business subcontractor, you can gain past performance without all of the risk of having to do all the paperwork that a large business has to do. Now, that being said, I have found subcontracting to be probably of the riskiest of all three of these, only only because um, there are some prime contractors that may take information from you and use it as part of their proposal if they reach out ahead of time or something, and then they don't subcontract to you. So just be aware that both with subcontracting and teaming, the next one we're going to discuss, you may want to put something in writing before you share any of your pricing or any of your information, with someone and or with a prime. And it's actually pretty easy to tell who are not good, that's a wrong word, but who are responsible primes who work with small businesses and who are not. You can just ask each other, talk to each other, network with each other because there's all these. I mean, I can sit in a room with contractors, and I will hear subcontractors who are small businesses talking about a prime, saying, "Oh, that worked really well," and "Oh, this is what you have to watch out for." There are prime contractors out there who set up their own universities within their business to help small businesses be successful. There was one that I worked with, and it's actually one out of our area. Amanda, and I worked with them years ago, and they did like a 16-week. They actually I'm in Washington State. They flew up to Washington State. Their vice president did and worked with small businesses one night a week for 16 weeks. And they took them through everything, all the paperwork, what's expected on a job, the registrations you need, et cetera, et cetera. On the last night, the president showed up and they picked up all the businesses who had come and attended on a regular basis. So that, there are those businesses who are out there who really do have it in their hearts to help small businesses succeed. And that's because a lot of the large businesses were small businesses at one point in time. So your risks are, and this isn't really a risk, this is kind of a reality, that as a subcontractor, you must be a business registered with the IRS and SAM for federal projects. I find that many subcontractors don't read or understand their subcontracts, and that's actually what I do a lot with as a counselor is when somebody has a problem, I'll say you need to send me your subcontract. And oh, by the way, it's within your rights to ask the prime for a copy of the prime's contract because a lot of the primes will flow down the clauses that they're required to adhere to for compliance. And you need to know those. And if this is your first time going into this situation and you're getting ready to work as a subcontractor and they send you a subcontract over to sign, call your Apex counselor and spend the time to go through it with them. Another risk is and this is for your benefit too. It's not really a risk, but you may be required to have all the certifications. The prime contractors have to verify in SAM that you are woman-owned or you are whatever it is you say you are. Um, there may be warranties, that type of things that, again, you need to read and figure out about. Um, let's see, I mentioned the pass through, or where the flow downs come down to you. Every every situation that I've ever worked in, as far as a contract goes or a project goes, something is going to go wrong. And it could go wrong big or could go wrong very little, but there's going to be something unexpected that happens. And that's neither good or bad. That's just the way the world works. It's just life. If you are a small business and you're a subcontractor or you're a large business, you're a subcontractor, it really doesn't matter. And something happens where you have to submit a claim to get back money for a situation that you were in, for instance, an unexpected or a changed site condition, that claim is going to have to go through the prime contractor to get to the government. You don't have access to the government, only they do. So that's another thing to look at when with all three of these, it's super important that you understand and you know a little bit about the farm contractor that you're working with. Do we have any questions on that one?
Yeah, we have a couple of questions, and this is a good reminder. If you do have questions about these sections as we go through them, please feel free to enter your questions into the Q&A section. And I am actually going to start out this question by dropping a resource in chat. So we did present an hour-long training on just subcontracting last year. And so that link to the recording of that event is now in chat. If you are interested in subcontracting, cannot recommend that training enough. It goes way more into depth about subcontracting and the different considerations you should definitely know about.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll go ahead and get into some of these questions. The first one is if the business completes work as a subcontractor, can they show that work as relevant experience on a PD for past performance on a federal proposal?
Yes, and that's one main reason to work as a subcontractor is not only the money that you'd walk away from, but the experience to be able to get that experience that you can show. Yes.
Yeah, and I will say through all of these webinars, I have heard very, very often that subcontracting is a great way to get that past performance.
Yes.
And Barry was wondering, as a prime, they've never had to use a sub, but definitely see the benefits of it so they can take part in more contracts. Does Apex have specialty training sessions around the basic how-to of subcontracting, which I believe I did just drop in chat,
Yes.
answering questions before they even come in. I love it.
Yes.
But that is also a good point to really get in contact with one of our procurement specialists directly as well. Mary Jo, have you had experiences with prime contractors where you're kind of advising and consulting on managing their subcontractors?
Yes, actually I have. And even though the Apex is geared to help small businesses, we still assist large primes when they have questions. And the last 6 years of my federal career, after being a contracting officer, I was a deputy for small business for the part of the Navy that I worked with, and help the large primes. And I believe, Amanda, that's something that we are constantly looking at here is the large primes that we can collect information and share with our small businesses, the ones that are happy to look for small business. I see things all the time coming through the email where so and so is looking for subcontractors.
Yes, and I'd love to touch base on that a little bit more because I am on the administrative side. So I am well aware that prime contractors will send subcontracting opportunities directly to our info line as part of their outreach that is required for that contract, their outreach to find certified subcontractors. And what we do with that email is we send them directly to our procurement specialist, and they'll go ahead and search their client base to see if they have any clients who fit the bill, who could do the work and are ready to subcontract. So that is another great benefit of really connecting with your local Apex Accelerator because well, I know for sure we do it. I can almost guarantee that every other Apex Accelerator has some sort of version of that. That is a huge benefit of connecting with our program, as well as something I am delighted to preview for you all. We are actually working with a local prime contractor that is going to be bidding on a project in the Bay Area for the Hunters Point shipyard. And we are partnering with them to put on a small business industry day. Well, I do not have the info to share with you quite yet. I should be getting the flyer details by the end of this week and getting it onto our event calendar on our website. So that is another great resource is just checking our event calendars or other event calendars for prime contractor industry days like that. They've actually asked us to come on to present about how small businesses just like yours can get registered in SAM and certified with the federal government and for whatever certifications they qualify for. So very similar to what Mary Jo was talking about, how the prime contractor came up and did what the 6 week, 8 week contracting training for their contractors. A lot of primes will reach out to local Apex accelerators for help, not only promoting the event and getting it in front of businesses just like you, but participating in the trainings as well.
Oh, that's perfect, Amanda. And to follow on to that, at this point, now that you know, now is the time to work with us and have us review your capability statement, have us update it. If you have worked with the state and you don't have a federal one, we can help you make that little bit of a twist to have it correct, well, correct's the wrong word, but to so that they will know that you know something about federal by using the right terms, the UEIs, the codes, that type of thing. So that's what we're here for, is to help you with that.
Absolutely. And then we did get one more question. Someone in the audience is a subcontractor for Prime who is waiting to hear back if they have the award for the contract. If this subcontractor was able to find a different opportunity, could they decline being a subcontractor for that Prime, or are they locked in some sort?
Um, I I think that would depend upon if they signed any documents. of any kind if they, if I know some small businesses who don't work exclusively with one prime on a project. They might work with several. Now, some primes will want you to be exclusive with them. So that's part of the difficulty with all three of these is figuring that all out. So I think we would need to know a little bit more about that one, Amanda, to give an accurate answer. But if you have signed something with them, it would be more difficult to get out of, or if they used your name in the proposal,
Mm, that
because
is a
some
good factor.
RFPs now actually ask the prime to list the subcontractors that they'll be working with, and the prime is obligated, that's to your benefit. The prime is obligated to use you as a subcontractor. And if they have to switch out, then it's not impossible. They go to the contracting officer and say, I need to use a different subcontractor for, for this concrete or whatever it is. But basically, what that involves when the government is doing that, they're actually looking at the subcontractors in addition to the prime.
Yeah. And then we had one more question come in, and this is one we get very, very often is how can I locate a prime contractor and connect with them? Mary Jo, if you want to touch on that really quickly, I will work on pulling up some resource links for that.
Okay. Thank you. I think we have so many different areas where you can find a prime contractor. Amanda's going to pull some things up, our events, our networking, looking at our emails and working with your counselor too. Because all of us have prime contractors that we know that we've worked with in the past. Amanda, I'm going to let you take over from here.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link from the SBA
Mhm.
where they maintain a list of federal contractors that are required to subcontract to small businesses. This is a great place to start. I do believe there is a mentor protege version as well.
Right.
Um, but like Mary Jo was saying, connecting with your local Apex Accelerator and connecting with your business community in general. So, like I mentioned, the Prime Contractor Small Business Industry Days. That is a fantastic point of connection to that prime contractor, as it is likely to be a small group that attend, and you'll likely have the opportunity to network and really connect with their representatives that are there. Some other great ways to connect are at conferences. I know some that our program attends are like Navy Gold Coast. I know that California DGS, if you're looking, I know this is more of a federally focused, but California DGS hosts an annual procurement fair where they have their agencies attend and you can connect directly with the buyers. And I know that there are quite a few other federally focused conferences of that nature. So it's really about forming that connection and really doing that networking. And sometimes it can be as simple as going onto LinkedIn and finding the company, finding a point of contact and reaching out to them to introduce yourself.
Right.
And it looks like Carlos actually dropped the DoD MPP list. Thank you so much for your assistance there, Carlos. But with that, that is the end of the questions for this section. So we'll go ahead and move on to teaming.
Me. Okay. Next slide, please. So teaming is a special type of subcontracting. It's not a joint venture. The team is set up before they know a project's coming or they've seen a project, and before they prepare the bid, they get together and they agree that they're going to team and work on the bid and the proposal together. Um, it's always a wise idea to have a teaming agreement um, before you start this for a couple reasons. The first one is to protect yourself and to protect whoever your teaming partner is. The second one is that if you're in a teaming relationship, you're not a separate entity that's set up. And you have to read your request for proposal very carefully because they may want the teaming agreement as part of the proposal. Now, past performance may be an issue, and I'll talk about that. Let's go to the next slide. I'll talk about that here in a minute on the next slide. So the benefits are you're going to be able to gain work on a variety of projects, and you'll be able to gain past performance. Um, you can, each company's role is decided in the teaming agreement as part of the proposal preparation. So the work's going to go to a specific scope of the work is going to go to a specific party in the teaming agreement when the award is made or when the proposal is successful. Each party has responsible or reasonable assurances regarding the regarding the fact that the relationship is exclusive. This is one where you put the teaming agreement in place and it is going to kind of tie you down to being exclusive, where it's going to be probably a legal issue to get out of it. Um, and part of that teaming agreement will also protect the parties' confidentiality and their proprietary information. Now, on the risk side, if you're a small business and you're hoping to team with a large business and then be able to use their past performance, you're going to have to read that RFP, a request for proposal, very carefully because it's going to spell out in the evaluation factors whether you're going to be allowed to do that or not. So you need to spend the time. If you need assistance, please send it over to your counselor. Let us look at it and let us help you with it. Um, this like all the others is it's important that you can work with your partner without issues, especially when you're going into this one so early in the process. Generally, teaming agreements apply to one solicitation. It's generally a one-time thing, but depending on how you set up that agreement, it can be more than one time, but usually it's a one-time thing and then it's renegotiated every time if you decide, every additional time if you decide to do it again. There's a risk of being unable to agree on a subcontract because if you do win the proposal, you're going to have to put a subcontract in place. And anytime you have to put another agreement in place, there's always that risk that you might have a disagreement, which is going to be something you're going to learn, you just learn to deal with it and figure it out. Um, with all of these, it's important to remember that the prime is the only one who has access, privy, they call it, to the government. The prime will bear the risk for the entire performance, whether you're subcontracting, teaming, or whatever. So that's important to keep in mind also. Okay, questions?
Oh, yeah, no questions as of right now. We will go ahead and give folks a minute. I know it does take time to type in your questions. Um, but yeah, so we'll give folks a minute. And I do know we are saying connect with your procurement specialist, sign up for services.
Yeah.
This presentation is not intended to be us saying, hey, we're great. But we truly are. We're developed and funded to help businesses just like you, whether you're a prime or you're looking to be the subcontractor. We're here to help our local business community really find their success in government contracting. And it's all at absolutely no cost. And while we cannot fill out the paperwork for you, we can't do the registrations for you, and we can't advise on legal matters as a legal advisor. I consider us a sort of coach in your corner, almost like a tutor in a sense. We want to help you develop the skill set and help you access and learn where to access all of this knowledge so that you can really move forward on your own 2 feet and really build a successful government contracting plan.
Yeah, and as Amanda said, the purpose of this webinar, we only have, I mean, it's an hour webinar, and it's to get you to start thinking about what might work best for you and to make sure you know what options are out there.
Fantastic. And so the first question, we did get a couple in as I was discussing that. So Mary Jo, tell us, how does it feel to be so awesome?
Thank you, but I
I
depend on
happen to
Amanda a
agree.
lot. Amanda is really, really good at this, and I appreciate her so much, and I love what I do, and I appreciate all of you too. Thank you.
Yeah. And so Barry was wondering, he has never heard that this was an option, and it seems to be a path of least resistance, actually, in his mind, as a small business and as a prime. Do they have to disclose whether they're a teaming agreement, or is it mandatory to mention that in an RFP? So if they're bidding on a solicitation, they're trying to get this contract, do they have to mention a teaming agreement or subcontracting agreement in advance, or is that something that can be determined afterwards?
It depends upon your request for proposal. It's going to tell you in there what you need to do and what you need to disclose. To me, from what I've seen happen in the past, the best thing you can do going into any of these is to have some type of written agreement with whoever you're doing this with, whether it's comprehensive or whether it's, just some type of agreement. And I think when I go through the next session, I'll be talking about that a bit more as to what you can do to protect yourself and take care of yourself. Some RFPs are definitely going to the government's going to want to look at the teaming agreement, and a lot of that, from my experience, truly depends upon what type of project it is. And the government does not want to be necessarily does not want to be the guinea pig for your teaming agreement. Okay. So some of these you might start it with very small projects and see how well you work together. And then you can use that experience and use that as your past performance as you build and you build and you build.
Fantastic. And then Shauna was wondering if there's somewhere that they can locate pre-existing teaming agreements to use as a reference, knowing that changes will be necessary. And I do want to chime in. I think these are legal documents, so you likely want to have it looked over by a legal team. But I think it's a good question to Mary Jo. Are you familiar if there are teaming agreement templates out there that can give them an idea of what goes into it?
I would not be surprised at all if you could go online and find documents. Even when I was researching for this, because it's been a little while since I was a contracting officer, I went in and I looked for some, and you're going to find a variety out there. And if you're not going to find the actual agreement, you're going to find articles that tell you you need this. Actually, I think I have one of them printed out right here. Let me look real quick for you. So I have one that has top clauses in a teaming agreement, and it goes through like 3 pages of different items that you need to consider. Now, you kind of take it with a grain of salt because you may not need all of that for what you're doing. And Amanda, if it will help, I can get these 3 pages to you and we can send them out if that will help if people are interested in seeing that. But that's just one of many. And again, we're happy to help you, or you can even kind of figure this out yourself, just by looking at it.
Absolutely. And even in chat, Latoya has mentioned that they have found some templates online. Some are
Yeah.
free to view, some you have to pay for access. And I actually had a question kind of jumping off of this because I know at some level, contracting information, so like someone who has already got a contract, already performed on a contract, is public data at some point. would the teaming agreement be a part of that public information? So if maybe the solicitation had been flown like 10, 15 years ago, would the teaming agreement as part of that be available, or is that more private data?
I believe that's more private data, probably along with the pricing, although I wouldn't be surprised at all to find it out there on the internet now, to be honest with
We
you.
know how the internet can be.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. And believe I do see your question, Winifred. I'm going to go ahead and type the answer because it is a little bit personal to you and your situation. And I would love to get you a direct link to help you out. So, with that, let's go ahead and go into what's best for your company.
Okay, so as you're working on all this and thinking about all these opportunities out there, what one provides the best leverage, what one maximizes the chance of securing a contract award, you're going to, regardless of which one you choose, you're going to add diversification to your business. You might learn something from another culture. Um, you might you might change your own culture a little bit of your business culture because of this. I highlighted this one and I'm going to talk about it here in just a minute, vetting your partner to make sure you can work out problems without the client being involved. Because believe me, a lot of the stories I have to tell, I was involved when I shouldn't have been, and I actually had to get the SBA involved at times. And as I mentioned before, working on a small project first to make sure you can work together and see well you can solve problems. So when we talk when we talk about federal contracting, you know how all everybody goes to events and you meet with a large prime and they call it speed dating. You give them your capability statement and you go on to another large prime or another small business, whoever. And you go from one business to the next and you speed date and everybody likes each other and you shake hands and you walk away. What you're looking at here is actually marriage, okay? Not speed dating. You're looking at you're working at the whole sickness and health and poverty and all of that type of thing, where you're going to have to be able to sit down. You're going to have to be able to negotiate, and you're going to have to be able to give things up that might be important to you sometimes to make this work. So when you're looking at somebody, whether it's joint venturing, teaming, subcontracting, take a look at the structure of the company. Look at the degree of control each company wishes to have over the partners and the projects. Are they going to kind of knock you out because you're a small business, or are they going to help you grow? Look at the specific terms that each company finds acceptable. And then do your due diligence before teaming. So confirm that the proposal partner is not suspended, debarred, or proposed for debarment. And we can help you with that as APEX Accelerator. There are websites where we can figure that out. Consider the partner's past performance history. Now, everybody is human, and it's perfectly okay to have a bad past performance at some period of time. We're all going to have it. I mean, everybody has it. Um, the the question is, how did you deal with it, and what did you do to fix it? And a lot of the proposals, you're asked to explain your past performance, and if you have something that didn't go right, the government evaluators, their eyes are actually looking on what you fixed more so than what went wrong and what you put in place so it didn't happen again. It won't happen again. And that's what you need to look at when you're working with a company. Did they have an issue in the past and what have they done to fix it so that you're not going to have to deal with it? Um, Confirm the proposal a partner is in a sound financial position to perform the work. A lot of that is going to come out in your conversations. You can sense desperation reeks. Okay, if they're looking at going to be using you as a small business, that's going to me, that becomes very apparent very quickly. Um, and again, there's a whole thing of realizing that in some of these instances, Prime will receive the award. You just need to be aware of that. You're going to be dealing with the prime and not the government, which is actually, believe me, that's a blessing, especially if you're just starting out. You're not subject to all the paperwork. You're not, subjected to a lot of the compliance. You will have some compliance, but not a lot of it. Confirm the partner doesn't have a potential conflict of interest, which might prevent the award. And again, that's going to come out in your conversations. Some of that is just gut feeling, where you may end up walking away from it. You will have issues. The key is going to be how you go into it and how you resolve them. Remember that meetings are money spent on your part and your partner's part. So if you're going into a meeting to resolve something, make sure the right people are there who can make decisions and walk away with a decision made, not me. I've had some small businesses that come to me and they'd already had 7 or 8 meetings, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you guys, not making a decision is really making a decision, and it's not good. Be aware of any compliance, any reports that are due. And as Amanda talked about early on, at some point we may suggest you take everything and have an attorney look at it just to make sure that it's all exactly where it needs to be. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining us. And as you heard quite a few times throughout this presentation, Norcal APEX Accelerator, as well as the nationwide network of APEX Accelerator centers, are really here and funded to help you succeed in government contracting. So please, if you are within our service area, reach out for direct one-on-one counseling. And if you are not in our service area, remember we are 96 centers strong, located nationwide. So there is absolutely a local center who can help you with any questions you have about your government contracting journey. And with that, I do want to let you know a little bit about some upcoming events. If you are interested in doing some state contracts, we have a great in-person event coming up in Arcata, California next Friday. That's going to be connecting you with a ton of local state agency representatives. So that is going to be a great event. But if you are looking to really fine tune your federal contracting skills, we have some more webinars you may be interested in, including our March 4th one, which we had already touched base on, Department of War Contracting Readiness, covering mentor protege, FOCI, and IBAS considerations, as well as commercialize your innovation, SBIR, STTR, and more happening on April 28th. And with that, we'll go ahead and go into our last couple of questions. I do know we are right at the top of the hour. I see one question that I would love to leave us off on. But if you do have to leave us, if you have another meeting, please do not worry, as we will have the recording as well as the slide deck for you to explore to your inbox within 1 week of today. And now that I'm reading that, Annalie, I am going to go ahead and actually direct you to register for our upcoming DOW Mentor Protege program. Jay was asking, you mentioned Mentor Protege, and was wondering if that's related to having interns or contract awards. And I think that March 4th event will clarify that very, very well, as well as giving you a lot of details and nuances to consider. And with that, I would like to thank you all one more time for joining us. And as you exit our webinar, you will be redirected to our feedback survey. If you have but a brief moment, it is only 6 questions, I believe, and can be answered entirely anonymously. And we're always looking for your feedback on these trainings because, like our program, we really are here to support you in your goals. So if we could be doing it better, this is your time to let us know. On that flip side, if you think this was a great overview of all of these topics, we would also love to know that. And with that, I would like to thank Mary Jo for putting on this presentation. She compiled all the content and all of these stories from her experience. So thank you so much for putting together this presentation, Mary Jo.
Oh, and thank you, Amanda. And thank you, everybody, for being here. We truly appreciate you.
Absolutely. And thank you all for being such an engaged audience. I see you all in chat making those connections, dropping those LinkedIn. I love to see that. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your evening.
Okay.